Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So you see that on December 5th, I had gone to Santa Cruz, and it was day 3 of my last trip, where I went to various places in a rental car and a Mustang. I went to Santa Cruz several times, and went to Oakland several times, and went to Gilroy and San Jose. And the car I usually drive, it is in not too good shape, so I had to spend, a bit of money to rent that car for 6 days or so. And on the end of day 3, the last part of day 3, I made a video on West Cliff at a location that overlooks the wharf that was hit by the storm. And I was talking about Psalms. And I was talking about how the storm comes and the wicked are swept away. Let me just put the transcript for the whole part on the screen at the end of this video. And I want you to ask yourselves, could this be a coincidence? It's not. I've been saying things about why they're persecuting me for a long time. I've been telling you that events in the news are connected to them persecuting me. And there's a little bit of hope right now, but there's a lot of pessimism. I do not believe that the American people care enough to rally to me, but I don't know. Okay? They need to rally because it's the right thing to do. They need to solve this problem here. The problem is that there are people causing damage to America. They're killing Americans. They're worshiping the devil, what have you. And we really need to look at this thing carefully and solve it together. We need to organize. We need to have discussions. We need to really present a coherent argument as to why this must be the case. And we need to face adversity and solve these problems. See that on the transcript it shows you what you should be able to hear in the video itself. You go to the video. Then I start talking about Psalm 11. How the foundations, specifically the foundations of the earth are shaken. And what can the righteous do? It goes on to talk about, and that's what the psalm is saying, mind you. It goes on to talk about how with a scorching wind, which obviously causes waves to crash, right? That the wicked will be swept away. Okay. And in the first 3 minutes I start recording the wharf while I'm reading Psalm 11, etc. And I start to explain these psalms in various parts in this video. Okay, so I go on to talk about how God is refining the righteous and screening out the wicked, and that the earth is rotting and it's going to wear out. And I talk about trees and an apple and how people discard an apple when it's rotting. And of course, the wharf is kind of old and it's hit by the waves, and there's strong connections there between the scripture that I'm talking about, the way I'm talking about it, the fact that I'm over there at West Cliff and Santa Cruz recording that, the fact that I don't get to go out past Morgan Hill and San Jose very often because of the limitations on my car. I had to rent a car to go there. It's pretty straightforward that what happened was aimed at me. And there's a lot of things in the news that are straightforward, but this one may as well be the most obvious one of them all. So I go on to talk about how the earth is a place where people are tested, and the essence of the earth is going to be removed and taken to a new earth, right? The righteousness in the earth, the spirit of righteousness that came into the earth through God, through the people who were righteous, is taken away, and the earth remains for the wicked, but it's destroyed in that there's nothing worthwhile on earth anymore. And I talk about how earth is an obstacle course. I bring up the poison oak and the snakes and the various animals. And, when you think about it, as man evolved, he had to face these dangers with less technology, with less people to help him, without the concrete jungle and so on and so forth. And so as I'm talking about these things, it's clear that I'm accusing the government of covertly taking their side, and that's in the transcript, right? The side of the people who argue that that people magically get to remain on earth magically, and that Jesus magically comes down, and so on and so. It's not logical what they're arguing. And that was a huge part of that video. But so was Psalm 11, where I talk about how the wicked are abusing people and they're getting away with it. It has implications on the earth being defiled, and how the foundations of the earth are shaken, and how a scorching wind is going to stir up the waves, which goes out saying it stirs up a lot of things, not just the waves, mind you, and how the wicked are swept away, right? They're swept away. Okay, so around 7 minutes, I talk about how people need to overcome, and Christ says, "Take heart, I have overcome the world." Christ is a character in the story. And what I say about waves around 8 minutes is key here. I said that the righteous are marshaled to heaven like the grains of sand are marshaled by the waves to the beach. And I go on to say that people need to understand that, right? That early man looked at the waves and had to ask themselves, what does it mean? Okay, and this is like 3 weeks or so before the wharf is hit with the waves, right? That crashes the tip of the wharf. Okay, the word point is in top scrambled. And the word wharf is war F scrambled. And I talk about dating, and I talk about being shunned, and how I'm very upset about it. And people are shunning me for petty things like going to the boardwalk, going to the wharf. Now, I'm not saying that these things shouldn't exist, but I'm saying that it's stupid to shun me. And I've been saying for years that Satan is a character in popular culture and in the Bible, tempts people, and people, then they rot, they regret their life, and they go to hell. So the governing class, first and foremost, is punishing people for not rallying and obeying God through me. And that is part of the pattern of events that we see, including the red wave, red the color of Satan, rhyme and reason, red and dead, right? Red the color of blood. Okay, and they were talking about, Trump talking about that immigrants are poisoning the blood of America. Okay, and obviously that is not a just thing to say. It's not a righteous thing to say. Because you have to do for the least of the brethren that which you didn't do for the least of my brethren, you didn't do for me. But these people aren't obeying God through me, but they might be obeying God through me if you had given me my rightful place, put a lamp on its stand. So there's a little bit of complexities involved. There's some complexities involved in understanding what's going on, but it's easy enough to figure out, especially if you rally to me, if we work together, if we organize things. I have a bit of trouble organizing things because I'm fumed and poisoned all the time. So it's important to note that this is also one of my better videos, because as I was by Westcliff, it was harder for them to fume me. So some of those videos there were really good. I also have to consider more what people are thinking of me as they walk by, so it changes the presentation to some degree, which suggests, really screams, that people should have rallied to me, so all these videos would have been much better, and they could share them in their pure form on many recording devices with their offspring until man goes extinct. The top martial artist ever possible is someone that people need to hear out in his true form. Okay, and I am he. Now, I go on to talk about how mankind needs to understand the clouds and the sky, and primitive man is no exception to that, and that the throne is established in righteousness. Remember, the transcript isn't perfect, right? But if you look carefully at what I'm saying, if you go to the video and hear what I'm saying, it should be clear that I'm correct and what I'm saying is important, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I end this video, which is one of the most important videos that anyone will ever make, by talking about righteousness and how you need to enter the kingdom of heaven by entering my heart, by rallying to me. You need to draw near to the Lord, and the Lord draws near to you, and I'm the gate. And how people are selfish, and how the word Baal, right, has wordplay involved, like the word build, right, rebel, Baal, rebel, and build, and builder are connected. And how people are being selfish, and they're going after ill-gotten gain and selfish gain instead of purging themselves of temptation and preferring death rather than disobeying God's commandments. They need to hold on to God's commandments and obey God through me. And it's not a coincidence. Okay? I do not have control over the weather, not that I know of, right? And so the reality of the situation is the miracles are figurative, except for the miracle of life itself, the miracle of me being the top martial artist ever possible, which is the most impressive thing in the universe, right? Righteousness expressed at a point. Even the sun is not expressing righteousness at a point to the same degree. However, in a sense, the sun is, right? The S-U-N, because it is giving us light and it's giving us certain things. But as a human being, being forged by the sun and forged by God and forged by nature, forged by God first and foremost, I've conveyed righteousness in a way that tells us that the universe was made for me during my lifetime, and humanity as well, and they're being judged by how I'm treated. They're being judged by, if females shun me, if, they mistreat me, right? It's the parable of the tenants, for those of you who doubt that explanation. Last of all, he sent his son. That's how it ends. He said, this is, they will respect my son. He's the top martial artist ever, right? Like father, like son, Exodus 15:3, the Lord is a warrior. And they mistreated him. And as you're mistreating me, you're sealing the fate, okay? But in Isaiah 24, it also makes it clear that the earth sinks never to rise again. So God is mad at the world, takes the essence of what's worthwhile from the world, like mining for gold, okay? Like eating a candy bar and throwing away the wrapper, right? But a more natural explanation, maybe, taking an apple and leaving a tree that's on its way to rot and die. It's something to that effect. And that's how the video ends.